Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's Blanco the Slum, and in today's video, we're going to be covering what I believe is going to be the next big DLC in GTA Online. Of course, we have gotten confirmation of a Mansions DLC coming this winter, most likely, in that November-December range. But with GTA 6 coming out next year, of course, hopefully with no more delays, we'll keep our fingers crossed on that one. This is most likely going to be the last big DLC, and also, in my opinion, the last chance for Rockstar to be able to add a Michael DLC. And they hear us, man. They hear all the voices, all the fans yearning for a Michael DLC for the longest time now. And me personally, I really do think they're actually going to deliver on this and give us a Michael DLC. And in this video, I'm pretty much going to explain how I think it can work and what a Michael DLC/business would look like, along with the Mansions DLC. If you are new here, of course, hit that subscribe button, join the Slime Squad. I make consistent GTA content, so hit that bell notification as well so you don't miss any uploads. And of course, if you enjoy the video, go ahead and hit it with a thumbs up to let me know you enjoyed it. And don't be afraid to leave a comment down below to kind of leave some input, what you think about my ideas or any things you want to add and stuff like that, whether you agree with me or not, whether or not you think a Michael DLC is coming at all, or are we just doomed to never get one. But anyway, let's get into the video. Alright, so it's no secret, we all want a Michael DLC. We all want to see Michael in GTA Online again. We almost got Trevor back with the Acid Lab, but of course that was replaced by Dax with issues with Trevor's voice actor and stuff like that. And then of course we see Franklin with the agency, but Michael's the only one missing, right? Michael's the one who hasn't made an appearance yet in GTA Online. We don't have any business related to him, any heist related to him, rarely even a mention of him. I think Franklin slightly mentions him in some of the like audibles during the agency cutscenes and stuff. I'm not even sure if he does, though. You don't quote me on that. But anyway, long story short, the game is definitely longing for a Michael DLC. So what exactly would that look like? Well, if you do some background on Michael, you would know that he is like ex-Italian mafia, participated in a lot of heists, stole a lot of jewelry, stuff like that, right? So I was kind of thinking, if we had a Michael DLC, what would be the business or kind of like missions that would be associated with it? And just driving along the GTA, world, I came across a couple pawn shops that are completely unused. We can't walk into them, and we've never had a pawn shop business. And I thought to myself, with Rockstar recently going with all these money front, quote unquote, clean businesses, but doing the dirty stuff in the back with the car wash, of course, the THC dispensary, and then also with the Higgins Helitours, these are kind of like legitimate business fronts. Well, I started thinking to myself, why don't we get a pawn shop business where we can team up with Michael, do some kind of like, jewelry robbery type missions, while also having a pawn shop with cash loan, cash loan services, or even just pawning services where we can make money in a legit way, to kind of stick with the theme of how the businesses have been recently, right? So that's what we have to look at. Is Rockstar is not going to go out on a limb and just give us like, here you go, a Michael heist or something like that. They're going to stick to kind of the recipe they have been these last few DLCs, last few updates, which are more realistic businesses, nothing too crazy and extravagant. So I thought pawn shops would be absolutely perfect. I came across 2 or 3 of them throughout the map, so they could even give us 2 or 3 different locations that we can choose from. That way it's not just one business that you can buy. But I personally think that would be absolutely awesome to be able to buy a pawn shop and kind of deal with jewelry and stuff like that, while also teaming up with Michael on the back end to kind of do some, illegal doings and so on and so forth. So throughout the video, this is just going to be an open discussion where I'm pretty much just going to talk about what I think this business will look like, how it can run, and we have to make it realistic. So I'm not going to go too crazy with how much money you can make and stuff like that. We got to keep it realistic. But basically, I'm just going to tell you guys what I think this DLC can and should look like if they do implement it into the game. So first, I'd like to talk about the price. Now, recently, Rockstar has rolled out, like I said, these kind of half legit, half illegal businesses, and they haven't really costed too much, but the amount that we can make also hasn't been a crazy amount of money, right? They've been relatively fair, relatively decent, profits, while also not costing too much. Anywhere between 1 to 2.5 million, I would say, is a safe bet. Usually the businesses that have accommodations and stuff like that lean more towards that 2.5 million. But for this business, because we are going to have cash loan services, quote unquote, or like loan sharking, whatever you want to call it, that is my prediction on how the passive money would work with this business. So I'm going to say 1.5 million for the business itself, 700,000 for accommodations, and then 500,000 each for up to 2 loan sharks that you can hire at your business, and they will do cash loans for people. And then for those of you who don't know how loan sharking works, basically it's like they lend out $10,000, and within, a certain amount of time, that person has to pay back. Instead of 10,000, they have to pay back 15,000. So there was a $5,000 tax. Therefore, you make money passively and profit as a loan shark. And that's how the passive income would work for this business, in my opinion, through loan sharking and cash services, which are usually provided at pawn shops and usually enforced by like some type of brutes and stuff like that. So maybe we can hire like two guys to kind of do the loan sharking side of the business for us. So in total, this business, I think, with the accommodations and the 2 loan sharks, are going to come out to about $3 million. Now, in terms of how much money we can make, so recently Rockstar has been limiting these businesses to like about $300,000. We see it with the Mackenzie Airfield hangar, with the garment factory, the salvage yard and stuff like that. Usually the high-end missions will pay about $300,000, and the kind of lower end / like easier missions will pay like $150,000 to $180,000. So with this business, hypothetically, I would have the same type of layout, where we would have kind of like a higher difficulty kind of diamond, jewelry heist, which would pay $330,000, cost $30,000 to set up, and have 3 setup missions. We also would have a mid-tier kind of robbery that would pay $240,000, also cost $30,000 to set up, and only have 2 setup missions, and then a low-end robbery of $120,000, $30,000 to set it up, and just 1 setup mission. Now, basically, I was kind of thinking, because we already have the Mansions DLC confirmed, I thought it would be a good idea to have the low and medium tier robberies be like from an actual mansion. So instead of robbing like an actual jewelry store or something like that, like a full-blown heist, you would just kind of be robbing these rich people's houses, the unused properties from the story modes. We have a ton of huge houses up there in the hills in GTA 5. So I was thinking they could kind of just put to use those houses that haven't been used yet in the story mode. And since mansions are going to be coming anyway, I don't see why they wouldn't be able to do that and just kind of redesign an interior just to make these missions, like I said, for the mid and low tier, where you basically will rob jewelry from like a rich person's house and then, bring it back to the jewelry store and funnel cash through your pawning business, which then brings the clean income, etc., etc. Now, the high-end 330,000 paying mission, I figured we could just reuse the jewelry store that is used in the story mode for the jewelry job. I figured we could just reuse that same store, from that exact mission, and maybe just have 2 or 3 different targets, but all of them paid 300,000. And I think that pretty much lines up with the profit-making ability of the recent businesses, kind of keeping in line with, how Rockstar has been designing these businesses lately. So that's essentially how I see the main portion of the money making of this business being handled, where pretty much we'd have kind of like these jewelry heist / robberies where Michael will probably, if it's one of the mansion ones, maybe it's one of his rich friends from Los Santos, and he kind of just gives you the layout of their house and stuff like that. And that's how we kind of work with Michael in this business. That way he's included. And it technically, that would count as the Michael DLC. I think a lot of people would be really hyped for something like that. Something similar to like Franklin with the agency, where he's not like too directly involved, but you still see him in passing and, certain cutscenes and stuff like that. Phone calls from him, like getting phone calls from Michael would just be absolutely sick, man. And I really think the pawn shop idea works, especially, like I said, I think it aligns with kind of the style of businesses they've been releasing. But again, man, it's open discussion type of video, nothing too serious. Just let me know in the comments below if you think like a pawn shop type of business can work, where, again, the main bulk of the money will be made with these kind of mini jewelry heists. But at the same time, we need some passive income, so we can maybe get some loan sharks who kind of, give out loans and money to people, which they then go collect. And, it's more than what you lent out. That's how you make kind of the passive money, maybe like $15,000, $20,000 every 48 minutes, kind of like an in-game safe that we have with the other businesses, where there's a safe that kind of fills up every 48 minutes. You know, maybe we could have loan sharks that kind of work similar to that. And then, you know, people don't pay sometimes, you know, they don't pay the loan sharks back. And that's when you maybe have to go do like a mission to, you know, kind of like a respect meter, I guess, to make people respect your business, respect the loan sharks, and pay them back on time and, you know, in a swiftly manner, you know, stuff like that. Similar to the car wash, how they have like the heat missions where you got to lower your heat. Maybe with this, you go do a mission to kind of force someone to pay you back, which then keeps the passive income flowing. I don't know, man. I think it could work. I think it could be awesome. But again, let me know your comments down below. If you enjoyed the video and made it to the end of this just open, you know, discussion video, if you like these types of videos, let me know in the comments down below. Let me know by also hitting the thumbs up. That lets me know that you guys enjoyed the video. If you are new here and you are looking for consistent GTA content, don't be shy to hit that subscribe button. It takes 1 second of your time. It really does mean the absolute world to me. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed. Until the next video, peace out, boys. And keep your fingers crossed for that Michael DLC.